Toronto has had a number of high-profile shootings over the last week, none more so than the one that took place in a very busy, often touristy spot of the city on Blue Jays Way. If you've ever been to a Blue Jays game, the entertainment district of Toronto, it's likely you've been there. And yet, in the middle of a beautiful, bright, sunny afternoon, even with families loading up their car on the side of the street, there was a brazen attack. A 21-year-old rapper goes by the name Houdini, his real name, Mario Jenkins, was shot and killed. There was a shootout involving his attackers and his 15-year-old companion who was returning fire. Both of these people were firing illegal handguns with high-capacity magazines, and yet, what's the Trudeau government's reaction to the gun crime like this that plagues cities across the country? Well, it's to send out a letter like this one to law-abiding gun owners. This letter was sent out to the 2.2 million licensed gun owners in Canada to let them know that the guns they own may now be banned. Now, the guns that were used in this shooting and in many others in recent days, well, pretty much all of them, are illegal. They're smuggled in from the United States, they're traded on the black market, but the Trudeau government's response to gun crime has been to ban legal handguns. Of course, they used the massacre in Nova Scotia as a reason to do this, even though that shooting was committed by a crazed man who wanted to kill a cop, we've now found out, and who had a bunch of illegal guns. Gabriel Wortman never owned a legal gun. He didn't have a gun license, and now we find out what we've been talking about, speculating about for some time. The police were tipped off. A Truro police letter was sent out to other police forces in Nova Scotia saying that Wortman, who did not live in Truro, was subject of a complaint saying that he wanted to kill a cop. That was in 2011. In 2010, it was reported that he had threatened to kill his parents. This is a man who was tipped off many times, including by a former neighbor who witnessed and reported physical violence and said he had a stash of illegal guns. But the response of the Trudeau Liberals to that, to the shootings happening in Toronto, is to turn around and tell legal, licensed gun owners, you have to hand in your guns. We've just made them illegal. It makes no sense and it won't change a thing. Look, I've been shooting guns for a long time now, since I was about 13 when I first went out with the Army cadets, the Argyll and Sutherland Highlanders in Hamilton, Ontario. We went out to the range. I have fired all kinds of guns, as you can see here, from a 50 caliber by Prairie Gun Works out of Winnipeg, the Israeli Tavor, this variation, Colt carbine 9mm, similar to the AR-15. These are guns that are not used in crimes in Canada, and yet these are the ones being targeted and banned. Just sending out this letter to the law-abiding gun owners cost the Trudeau government, meaning you and me, about $3.5 million at least, if not more. To send a letter to 2.2 million gun owners by snail mail? Absolutely, it costs that much, if not more. Plus staff time, it starts to add up. Then you look at the fact that the so-called buyback will cost about $600 million. Now, once you add in that once they seize the guns, the police have to do something with them, meaning destroy them after they catalog them, you can see that this is going to cost more than $1 billion to take guns away from people that are not committing the crime. Now, compare that to what the Trudeau government is doing when it comes to the crime that we're facing on the streets of Toronto. These are smuggled guns. What have they offered for their guns and gangs policy? About $326 million over 5 years, and only $86 million of that going to the border, the #1 source of crime guns in Canada. This is a government with priorities that are out of whack, that wants to say things that they think will make you feel safer, but not actually act to make you feel safer. It's a sad way of doing business. It's a very cynical way of doing business. It says, let's reach out and tell the suburban mom that we'll make her safer, even though none of their actions will make anyone safer. This, ladies and gentlemen, shouldn't be tolerated. We are going to waste $1 billion. We've just wasted about $3.5 million mailing out a letter, money that could be going to police forces across the country to actually crack down on real crime and real criminals. It's time to send the Trudeau government a message that they are on the wrong track. If you like what we're saying here, do make sure that you subscribe to the Toronto Sun Online, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, and share this video. Let your fellow Canadians know what's really happening.